Good morning, and welcome to the Centers for Spiritual Living, Fullerton. And this tree behind me is really beautiful in person. I'm hoping it looks the same when you look at this online. Let's start with our purpose statement. We are a loving spiritual community, empowering all to live healthy and successful lives through practicing the principles of science of mind. Well, here we wind up this year. So on the way here, you might be all thinking about our new slogan. And I think we can come up with quite a few. So, we've only just begun in 21. And we can put this year behind us. You like that? And we were talking about a lot of those in our meeting last week. We are one in 21, or God and me are one. There's lots of things, but so we wind up this year, and we know that there are blessings for each and every one of us. And so right now, let's just bring God into the center of this activity. Bring God into the center of us, knowing that we are not separate from that one. This is the time or the opportunity that we thank all those that make this service possible. And we will begin with Tomoko. I thank Tomoko and we're very grateful for you. You've kept us all together after a transition, a passing, and here we are 2 years later. We're growing, we're strong, and we did it. So for that I'm thankful. And Tommy, Richard, the music, that is something we will not let go of. And we're lucky that we can continue that, where most churches have not. But we send our light out to those groups and wish them well. The Board of Trustees, my fellow practitioners, the parents at home that are continuing this philosophy and trying to live it each and every day. And for all of you that show up. Although we're small, we're mighty. Reverend Dr. Bill, we love you, and we're grateful that you are part of our church, and how much you just fit in that divine appointment that worked out so beautifully for us. And with this and so much more, we simply let it be and have a beautiful Christmas week.
I need to be still, let God love me. I need to be still, let God love me. When this old world starts to push and shove me, need to be still and let God love me.
Well, thank you. It's so nice to see you standing up there and singing, and that was so beautiful. Okay, I'm back to my favorite book, The Courage, Conviction, and Consciousness of New Thought Women. And so this was written in 1902, so the language is a little old-fashioned, but nevertheless timeless. Christmas thoughts. Whenever the Christmas season lends luster and peace to the year, and the ling-long ling of the bells that ring tell only of joy and cheer, I hear in the sweet wild music these words, and I hold them true. The Christ who was born on Christmas morn did only what you can do. Each soul that has breath and being is touched with heaven's own fire. Each living man is a part of the plan to lift the world up higher. No matter how narrow your limits, go forth and make them broad. You are every one the daughter or son, crown prince or princess of God. Have you sinned? No, it is only error. Your spirit is pure and white. It is truth's own ray and will find its way back into the path of right. Have you failed? No, it is only in seeming. The triumph will come at length. You are born to succeed. You will always have what you need, if you will but believe in your strength. No matter how poor your record, Christ was in the heart of you, and the shadow will roll up and off your soul, if you will but own this truth. For Christ means a spirit of goodness, and all men are good at core. Look searchingly and throw the coating of sin, and lo, there's truth here to adore. Believe in yourself, believe in your motives, believe in your strengths and in your worth. Believe you were sent from God's fair firmament to aid and ennoble our earth. Believe in the Savior within you. Know Christ and your spirit are one, and stand forth deified by your own noble pride, and whatever you ask shall be done. Is that beautiful? Let's take that into prayer. O wondrous night, my weary feet have wandered far in search of thee, until one night I saw a star that beckoned me. It led me to a stable where upon the hay ox, sheep, and suckling lambs there in stillness they lay. And then I saw a baby small on Mary's knee. Strange kings with gifts were kneeling all adoringly. No throne, no kingly star to wear, yet my heart knew I found thee, Lord, in stable bare, and I knelt there too. And so it is.
Mary, did you know that your baby boy would one day walk on water? Mary, did you know your baby boy would save our sons and daughters? Did you know that your baby boy has come to make you new? And this child that you deliver will soon deliver you. Mary, did you know that your baby boy would give sight to a blind man? Mary, did you know that your baby boy will calm the storm with his hand? Did you know that your baby boy is heaven's perfect lamb, and the sleeping child you're holding is the great Mary, did you know?
Wow, Tommy Cosentino, everybody, and Richard Hodder, thank you so much. What a pleasure. And holy cow, that song really brings home the fact that this is the Christmas service for us for this year. I know we're 5 days away from Christmas and it's sunny out here and it doesn't look like Christmas, but that'll put you right there. And you know, our overarching theme this month is Love and Light and the Christ Consciousness. And the title of today's talk is The Gate of Heaven and the Key of Consciousness. And, usually this time of year here in New Thought churches, we talk about the metaphysical meaning of Christmas. And I'm going to mix that up a little bit this year because we get a lot of that. And what I really don't want to do when it comes especially to Christmas, I don't want to be throwing out the baby with the bathwater. We're so intent sometimes on being New Thought politically correct that we want to kind of lose sight of the fact that the season still is Christmas. It's about the birth of Jesus of Nazareth and how he grew. By the time he was 12 years old, remember, he was wowing the powers that be in the temple. And then later, of course, all those marvelous things that he did, and how he so single-handedly brought that Christ consciousness into our view. Not that it wasn't here already, but not everybody was as aware of it as he brought that awareness to the zenith that it is. And talking about Mary from Tommy's song, let's get a little bit metaphysical. Here's Mary, teenage girl. Now, not all of us can relate to being a teenage girl, but I think if we try, we can understand the meaning of that. The fact that here's an angel of God talking to a teenage girl 2,000 years ago. So if you think we're a little bit strict and Victorian sometimes today, think about what it was 2,000 years ago. And can you just imagine what she had to be thinking when she heard about this preposterous plan? I mean, everything in the world screamed that this couldn't be possible. Common sense would tell us it's not possible. Physics tells us it's not possible. The current religion state tells us it's not possible. And really, if we're honest, think about it. If your teenage girl came to you today and told you this story, even knowing what we know, would you be accepting it? I don't think so. We're blessed in that we get to accept this 2,000 years after the fact. And we're not accepting any of the physical, worldly, human things that happen. What we're accepting here is the fact that this divine consciousness, this Christ consciousness that came into being already with the inception of everything that there is, was brought into our awareness and was helped along by everybody involved. So here's Mary, probably thinking something like, dude, what are you on? I want some of that kind of thing. But ended up accepting this position for herself without knowing what it was going to entail, where it was going to lead, how the outcome of this was going to be. That is faith. And that's the metaphysical meaning of that part of this story. Does this story, really think about it. We tell the baby Jesus story every year. Is it true? Did this actually happen? I don't know. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The value of myth, and this is the Christmas myth, the value of that is it speaks an absolute truth that's beyond and above anything we could ever imagine or ever think up or ever declare ourselves, and it makes it real to us. So whether any of these events ever happen doesn't matter. We get the value of it. we get to live in the awareness of that Christ consciousness. And where is it? Here's another thing that it taught us is it in the manger? Is it in a particular town? Do you have to follow the Christmas star, which is coming to us in a couple of days, by the way? Do we have to follow that to get to some physical location where it is? No. Thomas Merton, not very many years ago, when he was describing how he came to see the unity, the oneness, the God that is in everybody standing on that street corner, told us that the gateway to heaven is everywhere. And once you open that gate, and the key to opening that gate is this consciousness we're talking about. The key to opening that gate, to unlocking it, is the Christ consciousness. And once we open that gate, that gateway remains open forever. And we can go back and forth through it, and will. And because that gateway is everywhere, that means this. It's know where. You have to kind of think a little bit to follow that. The gateway is everywhere. It's not a particular where. It's all wheres. So we are never at any distance removed from it. It's everywhere we are. That's where that gateway is, and we unlock it with that Christ consciousness. And again, did it have to ever happen for it to be real, for it to be true, for it to be of the immense value that it is? I don't know. But I brought a reading of my own that might shed a little light on this. Got this from Beverly's Song Sisters, or threshold choir people. And it goes like this. A little boy telling this story. I remember tearing across town on my bike to visit Grandma on the day my brother dropped the bomb that there is no Santa Claus. I knew Grandma would be straight with me. She always told the truth. No Santa Claus? Grandma snorted. Ridiculous. That rumor's been going on around for years and makes me so mad. Now put on your coat, let's go. Go where, Grandma? I asked. Well, where turned out to be Kirby's General Store, the one store in town that had a little bit of everything. As we walked in, Grandma handed me $10. That was a bundle in those days. Take this money, she said, and buy something for someone who needs it. I'll wait for you in the car. I was only 8 years old. I had never shopped all by myself. The store seemed big and crowded. I just stood there, clutching that $10 bill, wondering what to buy. I thought of everybody I knew, my family, friends, neighbors, the kids at school, and my friends at church. Then I suddenly thought of Bobby Decker. He was a kid with bad breath and messy hair, and he sat right behind me in Mrs. Pollock's second grade class. Bobby Decker didn't have a coat. He never went out at recess during the winter, and his mother always wrote a note telling the teacher he had a cough. But all of us kids knew he didn't have a cough, he just didn't have a good coat. I decided right then and there I would buy Bobby Decker a coat. I settled on a red corduroy coat that had a hood. It looked really warm, and I thought he'd like that. Is this a Christmas present? The lady behind the counter asked as I laid down my $10. Yes, ma'am, I replied. It's for Bobby. I told her how Bobby really needed a good winter coat. I didn't get any change, but she put the coat in a bag and wished me a Merry Christmas. That evening, Grandma helped me wrap the coat and wrote on the package, "To Bobby, from Santa Claus." A little tag fell out of the coat and Grandma tucked it in her Bible. Grandma said Santa always insisted on secrecy. Then she drove me to Bobby Decker's house, explaining that I was now and forever officially one of Santa's helpers. Grandma parked down the street from Bobby's house, and she and I hid in the bushes by his front walk. Then Grandma gave me a nudge. "All right, Santa Claus," she whispered, "get going." I dashed to Bobby's front door, put the present on his step, knocked on the door, and flew back to the bushes beside Grandma. The door opened, and there stood Bobby. 50 years haven't dimmed the thrill of those moments spent shivering in Bobby Decker's bushes. That night I realized that those awful rumors about Santa Claus was just what Grandma said they were, ridiculous. Santa was alive and well, and we were on his team. I still have Grandma's Bible with the coat's price tag tucked inside, 1995. I mean, there's a lot going on here, lots of different levels. And did that really happen? I don't know. Doesn't matter. If you didn't get a warm feeling in your heart from just hearing that story and putting yourself in that place and experiencing the love and the light and the bliss that came from that activity and from that Christ consciousness that gave root to it, we're going to have to talk sometime when we have more time than just here in a 20-minute meeting. So it doesn't matter. What matters is the advantage we take of the wisdom that is imparted to us by whatever source. Whatever source. If there's ever a question in anybody's mind that there was a baby Jesus who grew into that petulant young tweener, and then grew up to be the Christ and to do all those miracles. If there's any question that ever happened, forget it. There can't be any question. There can't be any question about whether it matters or not that it did, because we are still, 2,000 years later, we're talking about it. And we're still getting the advantage, the benefit of that absolute truth that's given in that story. And that's an absolute truth that nobody owns. You know what I'm saying? So we talk about, well, that's a Christian story. Well, I guess it is. Or is it? That story could come from anywhere. The fact that it came from, because we called him Jesus Christ, that's only about the consciousness we're talking about. Jesus was the man, the person, the boy. Christ was the consciousness. That could have happened anywhere, anytime. And we have to make sure that we don't ever, I'm going to say, steal from that consciousness the truth that belongs to it by claiming that we as a sect or as a group or as a generation or as a culture owned that truth. Because truths are not owned. Well, they are, but they're owned by everybody. Nobody, quote, end quote, owns the truth for somebody else. There's only one truth. We're living it. And on those occasions when we don't understand that, and we forget that we're living it, that's when it's even more important that it's there for us to fall back on. Thomas Merton, while talking about the gateway to heaven being everywhere, also talked about that spark, that little light of God, that little ember that is within everybody and everything that can never be violated, that can never be touched, that can never be changed or altered or forgotten about or left behind by anybody. And he said, is there such a tiny little light? And it's in everybody. So if you could just imagine a vast darkness falling over existence, and the only thing left that you could see was that little tiny, microscopic almost light in everybody and everything. There's so many of them that the combined light from them would still send a glow over everything. If we took away every other source of light and left behind only that source of divine light that is within each one of us, we would still have enough light, enough energy to power anything we ever wanted to do. We just have to make sure that we keep the awareness of that in our minds and not let it get lost in the hustle and the bustle of doing rather than being. Remember that little bit? We're not human doings, we're human beings. Richard Rohr from the Center for Action and Contemplation in New Mexico, I talk about him sometimes because I get his emails every day. I just happen to have one here with me. He gives a good perspective on this. Listen to this. He says, the common Christian understanding that Jesus came to save us by a cosmic evacuation plan is really very individualistic, petty, and even egocentric. It demands no solidarity with anything except oneself. We whittled the great good news, the gospel of Jesus that he was preaching every minute of every day. We've whittled it down into what Jesus could do for us personally and privately, rather than celebrating God's invitation to participate in God's universal creative work. Instead of believing that Jesus came to fulfill us separately, how about trusting that we are here to fulfill the Christ? Don't we sometimes get it backwards? At least in certain cultural gatherings, groupings. The Christ wasn't brought into our awareness to personally help us get out of this place and into heaven with all the gloriousness we're going to get there. Because heaven isn't there. Remember? It is nowhere. It's everywhere. It's every possible where. And the way we get to experience it is by fulfilling the Christ rather than the other way around. So the Christ will fulfill us, but not in the form of that one person who is so far advanced in it that we're still talking about it 2,000 years later. The Christ fulfills us because that's what its job is. That's what its purpose is. That's what it was created for. And it fulfills us because we are put here to be fulfilled by it. What a tidy little package that turns out to be. As long as we just don't lose sight of it. You know, 2/3 probably of the teachings of Jesus of Nazareth was forgiveness in some form or other. I mean, when you think about it, most of his teaching was about forgiveness. Don't we still teach that today? But new thoughts speak, science minds speak for forgiveness is letting go. Don't you hear it all the time? Well, you just have to let go. When I first got into this teaching, I thought, well, what in the world does that mean? I mean, let go? I mean, is this like some kind of I have to learn this language, like I'd learn Spanish or Italian or Greek or something? I got to learn what let go means? Because it can mean just a gazillion different things. But if we take it in the light of the meaning of it via that Christ consciousness and understand that letting go is letting go of everything that is not God ordained, that is not Christ exemplified, that is not the truth of our inner being, of that essence of the divine that we really are. When we understand that letting go just means dispensing with all of that and leaving that core Christ consciousness that is so much more insightful, if you will, this time of year, that's where we need to be. And because this is the Christmas service, my Christmas gift to you is not talking your head off. So I would like to just end this on this note. The Christ consciousness is like a candle. And I just want to ask you, What does a candle lose by lighting another candle? It doesn't lose anything. That Christ candle can light a gazillion other candles and never lose a thing, never give up a thing. It still retains all the light it had in it to begin with. And that's you and me. That's you and me as we share that Christ consciousness with one another, with everybody that we meet. Knowing that this season, this Christmas season, is not over when it's over. This season is embedded within our consciousness, and it stays year-round and just gets amplified with every separate event or occasion or circumstance that calls upon us to fall back onto that consciousness. And when we do that, we know that we are just spiritualizing our actions and our activities. We know that's the case because we understand that we are doing things, when we're doing things with our Christ consciousness, we're doing them for God and not for me. And that's just the measure of truth, isn't it? If it can be said that we are doing that for God and not for me, not for personal gain, but if we are spreading that Christ consciousness, that's when we are doing what we were put here to do. I know this is the case. I see it all around me on a daily basis. I see people acting in that Christ consciousness, and not just this season of the year, although it's true this season is more amplified than other seasons. But knowing this is the case, I just give great thanks for it, and I say, thank you, God. Thank you for the awareness, for the understanding, for the ability to live in this consciousness today and every day. I just release this word into that law, knowing that for each of us, it is so. And together we say, so it is.
I'm thankful, so grateful. I am one in the Spirit all around me. I'm thankful, so grateful. I trust in God.
Oh, thank you, Tommy. So just so we know that this is our opportunity for those few of us that are here and those who are watching online. This is our opportunity to share our abundance. We know that all of our good comes from that one source, God, and for this we are grateful. So I invite you, if you're here, to take your gift, your tithe, your offering, hold it in your hand, put it close to your heart. And those of you viewing at home who will be doing this very same thing, just know with me, read, hear, speak with me that prosperity affirmation. I live in a universe of abundance. As I freely and joyfully give, I join the divine flow. All that I share with life returns to be multiplied abundantly. So it is.
Chestnuts roasting on an open fire, Jack Frost nipping at your nose, Yuletide carols being sung by a choir, and folks dressed up like Eskimos. Everybody knows a turkey and some mistletoe help to make the season bright. Tiny tots with their eyes on the glow will find it hard to sleep tonight. They know that Santa his way. He's loaded lots of toys and goodies on his sleigh. And every mother's child is gonna spy to see if reindeer really know how to fly. And so I'm offering this simple phrase to kids from 1 to 92. Although it's been said many times, many ways, Merry Christmas to you. This simple phrase to kids from 1 to 92. Although it's been said many times, many ways, Merry Christmas to you.
Oh, it is Christmas, and what a gift. Tommy and Richard, wow. Those are two astonishing Christmas songs for this service. Wow, thank you so much. So, just a reminder, our practitioners are always here. Come on up, those of you who are with us. And those of you watching, just know that we're always available. And in much the same manner that we appreciate and accept and honor the donations that you send to us on a regular basis, or drop by the office and drop off, or get to us via our website online. Same with our practitioners. We're here to pray with you, for you, about you. And we're always available. Our numbers are on the website. You can call the office here at Tomoka, or you can email us. Any matter you want to get a hold of us is just okay with us. So, before that final Merry Christmas, let's just know this. Something wonderful is happening through me right now.
Something wonderful is happening through me right now.
It's this thing called love.
It's this thing called love.
It's this thing called light.
It's this thing called light.
It is this thing called the Christ consciousness.
It's this thing called the Christ consciousness.
That is my life.
That is my life.
I love it.
I love it.
I'm grateful for it.
I'm grateful for
I
it.
accept it,
I accept it.
and so it is.
And so it is.
Amen.